Ben, do you remember when we talked about sharing calendars, there was an extra option called Delegate that we didn't talk about?
Yeah. Are we going to talk about it now?
Let's talk about it now.
All right.
So here's our demo account for Adele Vance. If we go to share her calendar, now previously she had shared her calendar with Alex Wilbur, and we gave him edit access, but then there's also this option for Delegate. Let's choose that, and a couple of things change. Now this opens up the delegates section because we have to make some choices about what we want our delegates to do. Delegation is when you want somebody else to be able to manage your calendar on your behalf. So if you have an assistant who's going to be doing things like responding to meeting requests or sending out meeting requests on your behalf, delegate access is what you would want to do. So let's assume in this case that Alex is going to be Adele's assistant. Adele needs to decide what she wants Alex to do as her delegate. So, for example, all meeting invitations and responses, who do they go to? Well, in this case, they would just go to Alex because we've selected delegate only. We could choose send them to the delegate, but send me a copy, or we could choose send them to both my delegate and myself. So what happens if you choose delegate and send me a copy is that Alex gets to make the choice to accept the meeting, decline the meeting, set a different time for the meeting, but you'll still receive a copy in your email and on your calendar, of course. If you choose that both my delegate and myself receive them, then either of you can make the choice to accept or decline the meeting.
Gotcha.
So in this case, let's say that Adele wants Alex to be her delegate, but she still gets a copy. So another choice we have to make is if we want Alex to be able to see our private events. If so, we would check the box here.
So with the settings as they are, Alex would make the decisions for Adele's events, but she would receive a copy in her email, and Alex would be able to see all of Adele's private events.
That's correct. Let's look at how that works in real life. So we've made those settings. I'm going to close out of here. Now I'm going to send Adele a meeting request for today from my other account. So I sent a meeting request from another one of our test accounts, Megan Bowen, and I sent it to Adele. But here I am in Alex's email, and notice that he received the email from Megan, and it even says received for Adele Vance, and he gets the options to choose to accept, decline, or tentative the meeting request. He can add a note to it as well. So everything you would want your assistant to be able to do to accept or decline a meeting.
Yep.
Now, what Adele actually received depends on which version of the app you're working on. If you're on the desktop version of the app, Adele can see that she got the meeting request from Megan, but she doesn't have the option to respond. It even says no response required, and if she clicks on that, it'll actually take this out of her inbox and just keep it on the calendar, but she can at least see what's going on.
And below Megan's name, it actually says the meeting request has been sent to your delegate has not responded to the meeting.
Correct. So once Alex responds, that will change. So in fact, let's go try that in just a second, but first I want to show you what it looks like in the web app version of Outlook, because it is a little bit different. So in Outlook on the web, again, this is Adele's account. So Megan sent the invite to Adele, who has delegated her calendar to Alex. This is what Adele sees on the web. It's different than what Alex sees. She still sees the meeting details, the time, and that she has no conflicts. And she doesn't have all those RSVP options that Alex has, but she does have an option up here to kind of override her delegate and send anyway. Let's look at what happens after Alex makes a choice. So we'll go back to Alex's account. So Alex decides, yes, Adele can take this meeting. So once he chose it, the email leaves his account because the decision's been made. It's now been put on Adele's calendar, and let's go see that. So here back in Adele's account, it still says your delegate has not responded to this meeting. It can take up to 30 minutes for that to update. So don't think that your delegate's not doing their job. It just may not have updated yet.
Right. Okay, so this is what it looks like when the delegate has all the control, but you are receiving a copy. What does it look like if you have both my delegate and me selected?
All right, well, let's find out. Let's go back to Adele's account on the web. Got my personal calendar selected. I'm going to choose Share on the personal calendar. So we had delegate and send me a copy. Let's change to both my delegate and me. Close out of there. And now I'll have Megan send another meeting request. Okay, so Megan sent an invite for a late meeting. In Alex's account, he's the delegate. We see he received this, received for Adele Vance. He has the option to accept or decline. If we look at Adele in the desktop app, we see that she also received it. She also has the option to accept or decline. So that's what happens when they both have access.
Got it. Chip, is there a way to change the delegate settings from desktop, or is it a web only?
You can do it from the desktop. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit older, and it has some extra features too. Let me show you where it is. So we're in a Dell in the desktop app. I'm going to go to File, Account Settings, and Delegate Access. So if we want to add a delegate here, so we already have a delegate for Alex Wilbur. We added that in the web app. Let's say that Adele wanted to delegate to Megan also. So we'll choose Add. We'll find Megan in the list. Add her. And then we get these choices. These are actually more choices than we had in the web app. We're choosing what the delegate can do with your calendar, can read, create, and modify items. We're choosing whether or not delegate receives copies of meeting-related messages. That's that checkbox here. And then we also have similar choices for other things like tasks, inbox, contacts, and notes. Not the same because you don't have meeting requests with the other ones, but you also get some control over what they can access from there.
So Chip, I could set up a delegate to access my email and my contacts as well?
Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but you can share things like email, contacts, tasks, and notes with other people in your organization. That's a little bit more complicated. It's not quite the same as delegation, but let's talk about that in the next lesson.
All right.